I've always been intrigued by how small actions can lead to massive changes. You know, the butterfly effect. How something as tiny as a butterfly flapping its wings could, over time, create a storm on the other side of the world. It sounds dramatic, almost too wild to believe, but it's real. And honestly, I see it playing out in everyday life, especially when it comes to money. The small choices we make, the little decisions that seem insignificant, can end up having an enormous impact on our financial futures. I didn't always understand this. Back in the day, I thought making financial progress was all about big moves, working overtime, landing a high-paying job, or sacrificing every small luxury. But over time, I realized it's not the grand gestures that make the difference. It's the tiny, consistent actions, the ones that barely register in the moment, that actually end up shaping everything. Let me tell you how I learned this and how it's transformed the way I handle money. A few years ago, I had this routine where I'd grab a fancy latte every morning. It was my daily treat, something I didn't think twice about. What's $5, right? Then one day, I came across an article about compounding interest. Now, I'd heard about this concept before, but for some reason, this time, it clicked differently. Just for fun, or maybe out of guilt, I did some quick math. If I skipped the latte and saved that $5 every day, investing it instead, I'd have thousands in a few years. That $5 wasn't just coffee money, it was potential vacations, financial peace of mind, or even an early retirement fund. That realization hit me like a ton of bricks. It wasn't about the latte itself, it was about the ripple effect of that one small decision. What I learned from that moment is that every financial choice we make is like planting a seed. Some grow into massive trees, while others don't even sprout. The key is being intentional about which seeds we're planting. When I decided to save and invest even the smallest amounts, I saw it as nothing more than an experiment at first. I set up an automatic savings transfer, just $10 a week. It felt so tiny that it seemed pointless. But then, as the weeks turned into months, I started to see the account grow. Slowly but surely, that $10 a week started to look like something substantial. It was compounding, and it felt like magic. But it wasn't magic, it was just consistency. On the flip side, I also realized that the butterfly effect works for bad choices too. For years, I'd been spending money on things I didn't even care about. Impulse buys, fancy dinners, random gadgets that ended up collecting dust. All of it added up. One day, I took a hard look at my bank statements, and it hit me how much of my income had gone to things that didn't bring me any real happiness or value. Worse, every dollar I wasted was a missed opportunity. I could have invested that money and watched it grow. Instead, I'd blown it on things that didn't matter. That realization was tough to swallow, but it pushed me to get smarter about where my money was going. I started making changes. Small ones, but powerful ones. Before buying anything, I'd stop and ask myself, is this moving me closer to the life I want? Or is it just filling some temporary void? That question alone stopped me from so many impulse purchases. I also got serious about investing. For the longest time, I thought investing was something only experts could do, like it was this complicated, intimidating world I had no business being a part of. But I learned that it's actually pretty simple. I started small, throwing in whatever I could afford each month, and let compounding do the heavy lifting. Over time, I diversified my investments, stocks, bonds, even a little real estate. That balance gave me peace of mind, even when the markets were unpredictable. What surprised me most wasn't just the financial growth, it was the freedom I felt. Knowing that I had a plan in place, and that even my smallest actions were working towards something bigger gave me a sense of control I'd never felt before. I stopped stressing about unexpected expenses or feeling guilty for treating myself now and then, because I knew the bigger picture was on track. Now, when I think about the butterfly effect, I see it everywhere. That $5 latte? It's not just coffee, it's a choice. So is setting up an automatic savings plan, skipping an unnecessary expense, or spending 15 minutes learning about how investing works. Each of those small, intentional decisions creates ripples that shape your future in ways you can't even imagine yet. The best part? You don't have to be perfect. You just have to start. Even the tiniest steps, like saving a few bucks or saying no to something you don't really need, can set off a chain reaction that changes everything. It's not about being extreme or making huge sacrifices. It's about understanding that even the smallest actions matter and taking control of them one choice at a time. Trust me, those ripples can turn into waves that transform your life.